your blended family. What is up, B fam? Happy Monday. We're talking today, this topic is one that we still tend to struggle with. It seems every season brings up a new chance for us to have to bring this back to the table and revisit it. But we're talking today about work-life balance and kind of as a blended family, how much we need to provide ways for us to connect with each other more, because that can be some of the toughest challenges we face. But that work-life balance can really rob us from that if we're not careful. So we're going to talk more on that here momentarily, so it'll be a good one. Y'all stay tuned.
All right, guys. So I am one of those people that just absolutely love my career. I was a teacher for the majority of my adult life, and
she's not an adult anymore.
Let's just bring the fun in there. I am still an adult, but I am no longer a classroom teacher. We're teaching in different aspects here, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. But I
just had to clarify because back when I was an adult.
I said for the majority of my adult life. I didn't say I'm stopped adulting.
I know, it was just funny.
Okay.
It was a good way to have some fun.
All right. Yeah, I'm glad, because we might have got really serious
too quick. Lighten the room a little bit.
Jeez.
Come on.
But I truly did love teaching. I poured into it to the point where I would joke, because Randall does our finances. I really had no idea what I even brought home. It wasn't a paycheck to me. It was a passion of mine, and I did it. But not only was I working throughout the day, but a lot of times I brought work home. Not sometimes because I had to. Teacher life, if you've ever been a teacher or are a teacher, you know, most of your hours aren't just done at school, but you bring them home as well. But a lot of times, I would come home first, I would stay at work on a Friday evening. After the work week, I would stay till 6 or 7 o'clock at night because I wanted to get my room ready. I taught little ones, so I was a pre-K teacher, so I would want to change up my room and get everything in order, because if I wasn't organized, then my week didn't go well. And then I would come home and I would sit on the couch and work till 2 a.m. sometimes, lesson planning and figuring things out for the next week and the week after that. And I did this for a lot, most of our marriage, I would say. I did this up into the point when the thing we talk about a lot is when our kids became teenagers and they went through a lot of struggles and they ended up going to live with their other parents. And I still was following this pattern of just pouring all of my energy and all of just really the best parts of me into my work. And I didn't know how to work home life balance because I felt like it was so necessary and I enjoyed it. And then a lot of times it was even an escape for me. I think especially during those years where it got a lot harder with the kids, that I knew it was something I could do and I could do it well, but yet I felt like I was failing a lot. I remember just even in the schools, they would just talk highly of me as a teacher. And on the inside, I would cringe because I was I'm good at this. Why can't I do this for my own family? Why is it so hard for me to be a good mom at home? So when our kids finally moved away and they were with their other parents, I began to resent my job, honestly, in that I had poured so much into the lives of other people's kids, and now my kids, it had passed. In my head, I had passed my opportunity to be their mom and parent them the best way that I could. And I say that it does sound very serious. It's very it did. Yeah, we probably haven't even been on talking 5 minutes and it's got really, really deep.
That was deep. I'm sitting here jaw drop going, wow.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
Really deep, really fast. And I say it in a sense that, I was never home, and I was never on the times that I was home. We were very involved in our kids' lives. My kids went to school where I worked at, so I was with them a lot of the times. But I really gave the best of myself, is my point here. I gave the best, and the enjoyment part I poured into my work, and then the rest of when I came home, it was more duties of trying to get things done or trying to squeeze in all the things so that my kids knew that I was there for them.
And I never struggled with this. I was kind of that perfect parent. So, just really watching her
really love your
go
job.
through. I kid. No, seriously though, yeah. I would, I had my own issues on that. Like with my job at the time of you going through that, my job was very physical. And by the time I got home, I was just tired. I was flat out tired. I didn't want to do anything else. And that was kind of a lot of me. But we've seen that in the transition of our lives and in the different transition of jobs. Even as you left the classroom, then we transitioned into full-time ministry and how much, I mean, you can give your whole life to that as well. And we really struggled in that area too. But what we've seen though is this is a common theme in a lot of people is we give so much into our work that our family gets our leftovers. And it's really sad, especially in a blended family, whenever we look at it, we need those connections. We need to be able to be intentional in our relationships. And we can't do that if we're just flat tired or we never have time to do that. And so our family gets put on the back burner and they get the leftovers, and now all of our relationships seem to be struggling. We're constantly at each other's throats or looking at each other negatively instead of seeing the positive because we haven't really spent that needed time together. And so this is a hard subject, and kind of as we had stated before, this is one that just doesn't go away. This is one that every season it seems to bring new opportunities to try to make sure we're in check, make sure that we're rebalanced, because it's like for us, we can give so much to what we're doing because we can become so passionate. Or maybe we're, if you're in a job that you're really good at your job, as Scarlett was with the teaching, you just pour so much into it because you really enjoy that and you're good at it. And then we lose track of what's really important. Kind of as you were saying, now us not having that good balance isn't necessarily what pushed our kids away for that season. I say short season. It was a short season looking back, but through that time, when you've got 2-3 years, that seems like a really long season. But looking at that, that wasn't all of what led into that. There were many factors, but what it showed us was that family was more important than our work, that our work doesn't care about our family. And even if we change jobs or we leave, that was one big realization I had, is I would pour everything into my work and I was really good at it because that's my personality, and I would just, I'd give it 110% no matter what I did. But whenever I left, I was replaceable. Any of us are replaceable. So it's kind of like we continue pouring all of us into something to where we're expendable. And it really sets us back, like, okay, for me, that was that realization of, okay, it doesn't matter in this life, what I do work-wise. I mean, it's good and we need to work, and I'm not saying that we don't, but what's the most important is our kids. What's the most important is our family, our home. Those relationships last lifetimes. Those memories that we're creating right there, those are cherishable. I can't tell you 10 years ago what I did at work, but I can tell you our relationships and the things that we've done, those things stick with me and those carry us along. So
yeah, I remember us listening to something or hearing something about the fact, like, when you come, like, thinking of your funeral, because I had gone through a little season of getting pretty sick, and like there was a point in my mind that I thought, like, this could be the end, and I was in my mid-30s. And we had heard something about, like, when you're at your graveside, like, the people that are there mourning you, it's not usually those people that, they may show up to your funeral or whatever, but they're not the ones that are hurting and, like, missing you the most, those people at your workplace. It is your family members that love you and that are going to miss you the most. So that really had put some things in perspective to me, like, who am I really giving my best to, and who should I be giving my best to?
So we know that this is an issue for a lot of us, especially whenever the whole pandemic hit. Now we're working at home more of us are having, home. we're able to do things remotely now. We're able to work from our house, and we've created our own offices and things of that. And that brought a new challenge for a lot of us, because we are, and as you know, that was a season in our life to where we finally had to get to a point of saying, okay, we're working from sun up to sundown, and this is not healthy. So really the first thing that to be able to get through this, to really find that balance, is to be able to recognize it.
Yeah.
You know, recognize that, hey, this is a problem in my life. And maybe you're hearing this and it's not a big deal for you. Maybe you're all in check. Kudos to you. Maybe this is more of just that importance of maintaining that and being able to spread that and share that to other people. But maybe you're like us, to where this is a struggle, and realizing that, for one, is just a huge step.
Yeah, I think I didn't realize how much I was working. Like Randall was talking to, and he was saying, he's like, yeah, I remember having to like tell you, like, calculate your hours, see how much you're putting in outside. And I was just like, well, no, I don't want to do that. But
well, I would, because I would see her working all the time, and she would stay late. She'd be involved in every school activity and run events and run things. And then she would come home and she'd spend countless hours just on the computer doing school stuff. And I'm not saying that that's all you did, right? I mean, we did other things. We were really involved in our church, and we would always go do other things as well. But I got to a point where, just as her husband's sitting there going, she is working a lot, and I don't think she realizes it. And really, being the financial guy, you know, I'm like, you should really look at all the hours you're putting in to find out how much you're really making.
And so, for one, teachers don't make enough anyways, but it wasn't about the money. And I think even talking about this, sometimes it's not even just our work, technically the things you're getting paid for, but all the things, because I was like, I had so many ideas. I'm a creative type. We both are, and maybe you find yourself in this too, where you're an idea person. So I would have all these ideas for the school or ideas at the church, and then I would become like a head of a committee over these areas. So then it's like, it's not paid work, it's volunteer work, but then I'm putting in these hours outside of my family time as well. So really, like Randall's saying, take note of that. Like, what are you putting all, like, we only have 24 hours in a day. We all have that exact same amount of time. And how much of that are you spending on things that are outside of pouring into your family? And how much time are you really giving your family the quality of you? Because even like when we were with the kids, and spending that time with our family, it was more like homework based, or taking baths and, you know, eating dinner. And a lot of those times they involved fighting because, you know, we weren't seeing eye to eye on things, or cleaning in the house and those type things. And so we weren't having the process of enjoying those moments. So like Randall was saying, is recognizing it. And sometimes if we don't recognize it, take it to God. We say that for pretty much all the things that we talk about on here, but that is really truly our best go-to, is taking it to God and saying, God, show me, like, help me see if this is an area that's a problem for me. Or maybe it's your spouse that's struggling with it, and maybe you have tried to voice it to them and they don't understand, or they don't see. Asking God, like, show me or help my spouse see this, like, help them see how much hours they're putting in outside the family, and help them put things into priority. Because a lot of times, you know, where we might say something, it falls on deaf ears. But when God intervenes, and God can intervene using all kinds of people, all kinds of situations. So when we give it to Him and we ask Him to help, then things can begin to shift without us having to cause like static or a fight with our spouse.
Yeah, so bringing all this up, it's really, in blended families, we need more time together. We've got to be able to have that, to be able to really create that blend that we're looking for. So if this is striking a nerve or a chord with you, it has with us as well. So we share all this just to kind of bring the importance of, man, this is, our family needs us. And I think the older we get too, the more we start realizing, because time is our biggest asset. And that's the one thing that is finite, that there is an end to it. And I think the older we get, you know, the more we see that, the more we notice that. And you do start seeing that, man, my family is what's important to me more than my job. And hopefully we get to that point. A lot of times it's still, we can even be to that point and still not even, and still be out of balance, right? So we may recognize it and still be out of balance and be like, well, I don't know how to manage this. That's just a thing that we have to keep bringing back to the drawing board. But really, so three things, if you're struggling with this, three things that we can do. And the first one you talked about was prayer. If this is a thing for you, like it is for us, and we constantly have to do this. We constantly have to keep going back to God and saying, God, help us. And sometimes we can go weeks, months before we recognize it again. And we're like, man, we're in this season again. We're out of balance. I'm feeling it. The thing is, you'll start not just feeling it in your family. Your family will bring more tension when you're out of balance, but your body will too. So you'll physically start feeling stress. You'll feel worn out. You'll feel more tired, and that's your body will start sometimes even showing you signs. And then we're rushing to the doctor. Doc, I don't know what's going on. And I remember even going to the doctor one time thinking I was having a heart attack, and it ends up it was just stress. I was stressed out. So stress does crazy things to our bodies. So not only does it throw our family out of whack, but it throws our bodies out of whack. And really, to flip that is spend more time with your family.
Which is, what a wonderful, I always say this on the podcast a lot, but what a wonderful answer is it? Like, the answer to this is to enjoy your family, to spend more time with them, to laugh more. Like, yes, please. Sign me up for that. Why do we have to be told that? But yet we do.
Well, because I think too, we get to a point where when we are out of balance and we're not spending that quality time with each other, you do start seeing more of the negative aspects of people. And that's very true in our family. So when we're not spending time, we're out of balance, we're not spending time with each other, we start focusing on each other, what's wrong with each other. And then that makes you not want to spend time with them, right? So it's like does the opposite. It's almost like it's pulling you away from your family. But the crazy thing is, because a lot of us, that could be that excuse saying, I don't want to hang out with my family. They annoy the crap out of me. Yeah. But the thing is, if we get to that point, that just means you're not spending enough time with them. Because if you flip that and you start spending more time with them, you start seeing the beauty and the reason why you're a family, because they're a part of you. And that's the crazy cool thing about this. So that's almost like an indicator, right? It could be like that little light that's inside you. It's like, man, if I'm looking at my family as being like, I don't like y'all, then I'm not spending enough time with y'all, right? That's that little like thermometer that you would put inside of a turkey to see if it's ready. I
didn't know what that hand was representing down there.
so maybe that's your indicator right there. If that's where you're at with your family, that means you need to spend more time with them. But yeah, so really three things. So the first one's to pray about it. And then the second one is to is to create limits or boundaries. So hey, we'll be back momentarily. Check out this announcement.
Are you tired of focusing only on the negative in your blended family and just want to be able to enjoy it? Randall and Scarlett here, and that's where I found myself years ago, and we began to search and seek out solutions for our family so that we could experience that enjoyment that we hope so much we envisioned when we married each other. So after years of searching and looking for things and becoming very intentional on helping our blended family, we found 5 steps that we began to follow to help our blended family. And we put those things together in this Mom's Quick Guide to Blending Her Stepfamily. These are going to be 5 steps to blending success.
Yeah, and we realize that once we start doing things, once we start getting intentional and quit just complaining about it, but actually doing things to help us get those results we wanted, that's when we really start seeing a change. And there's power in that when you do that. That's why this guide is so powerful, that we walk you through exactly what we've learned. This took us over almost 15 years to learn, to get down to where now we're seeing the success we're seeing it, and we want you to have this guide so that you can get there so much quicker. Right now, you can have that guide. This is about a $97 thing, but right now we're giving it to you for $7. That's it. No catch. We also want to sweeten the deal a little bit, so we're throwing in 5 additional bonuses, resources that can just add to this. Our heart is we really want you to have these tools and tips and tricks to really see success in your family. Not saying that is bad right now, but man, whenever you start doing these things there becomes so much power in your family, and you see so many more blessings from it. So get your copy today, only $7 right now. This is about a $374 value, $7 right now. So get it today while we still have this offer going. The link will be below in the show notes. Now back to this episode. So this is one thing I know working at home, we finally had to get to a point of saying, you know what, we've got to shut it off. And we gave a time limit of like 4 p.m. We're going to shoot for 4 p.m.-ish. We always throw an ish in because, the moment, it's like the enemy knows. The moment that we sit there and say, at 4 p.m. on the dot, we're going to shut everything off and it's going to be great. And this is going to be our new thing. It's almost like the enemy's looking at you laughing, going, ha, 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 okay, you think. And so you get this plan in place, and the next day you're going to implement it. And then you get a phone call, some emergency at 4 p.m. and you're rushed, or maybe it's a big work thing, maybe something just went off, and and it's like it always happens. So you got to be flexible with it. But that's why you got to have that ish. But anyways, we would say about 4 p.m. ish, we're gonna get up, we're gonna leave the house, and we're gonna go walk around the block a couple times. And that was just for us. It was doing a couple things. It was that transition time, saying, okay, we got to transition away from work into home, and it gave us a chance to spend time together. So it was like a double whammy, a double cool thing that we would do. Do we get to do it every day? No, but that's still kind of our target that we shoot for, is that boundary, that limit. So maybe creating some limits or boundaries for you. Maybe at this time, I'm shutting this off. Like you did that with your social media, right?
Yeah, because that was one of the newer things that we're transitioning now. We're helping blended families, and so a lot of my job is on my phone. What was an eye-opener is a few weeks ago, I looked at my screen time, and it said 84 hours in the week. A regular work week is 40 hours, and I had 84 hours logged on my phone. I was just like, and I think 24 was Instagram. And it's just amazing that how much time I was spending on my phone without realizing and how it adds up. But we would transition, but yet then I would go sit on the couch. And yeah, I might like start out like scrolling just because I want to connect with people on Instagram and social media, like keeping up with my friends and stuff. But then I'm creating reels and looking at graphic, and all the stuff that starts messaging people after hours, and it was just adding up so much. And so I decided like, okay, what can I do about this? And our phones have this little like device on there where you can actually limit your amount on there. And so I went on there and I clicked all of the different apps that like I would get on, and I would turn them off at 9 o'clock. So now we're like sitting there and I'm working and doing stuff on my phone. And then it was like, shut off. Okay. Phone down, no more. And there are ways to get around that. Like you can ignore your time. So I have to be disciplined in that. Like, because it might be, well, I just, 5 more minutes. I'm like an addict. Like, just give me a little bit more and I'm almost done. But then that little bit more turns into 10 o'clock. And science shows it's not good for you to even be on your technology right before you're going to bed and stuff, which is why I put that time limit on there to give me that hour away from it.
Yeah, so that is such an important thing to bring up, is we can set these limits and boundaries, but that doesn't mean that it's just going to do it for us, right? We still have to have that discipline. We still have to, whatever we do in life, right? If there's something that things that we try to put into place, we've got to be the ones in control and say no, because there's always a way around it. There's always ways around whatever. We've got to have discipline to sit there and say no, I'm going to shut it off. This is what I'm doing. This is how it's going to be. And then maybe if you need that accountability, right? Sometimes we do need accountability partners to help keep us, in check on that. Because if not, it is easy to sit there and go, maybe I'll give it another 10 more minutes. So, that is something, even though we set these limits and boundaries, we still have to be the ones to take that initiative and say, you know what, no, I'm doing this. Number one, I'm doing it for my family. And number two, I'm doing it for my health. Yeah. So, whatever you're doing, whenever you're creating this, give you something to look at and remember. Like anything in life, that's kind of like our Bible and Scripture. We have scriptures to help remind us of God's goodness or God's help through different things in life. So, kind of same thing, right? Give us something to look at to where it reminds us why we're doing this. Why is it important that I do shut this off, or I have this boundary to begin with?
Yeah, and get your family on board. Like he's talking about having accountability. You could pick people outside of your family as well, but letting them know, let your spouse know, hey, look, I'm working really hard to balance this out because I love y'all and I want to spend more time with you. Telling your kids that too. So help me stay accountable. If you see me, emailing or on my phone or on my computer during this hours, you decide what you want your boundaries to be, because these kids are going to remind you and it's going to annoy the crap out of you. You said, Mom, you said not to.
Dang it, why'd I tell them?
Yeah, but if you let them know from the beginning, look, I treasure my time with you and I want to be more present here. So if you see me on my phone working, or if you see me on the computer working during these hours, you have full permission to say something to me and let me know. And they, trust me, they will.
They're good accountability partners. So very true. So number one is pray about it, right? Always go to God in prayer and just be like, help show me. And even if you think you have yourself in check, just kind of going back to that one, because ask God, am I in check? Because sometimes we may think we're in check, but we're actually not. So, it's always good to go back to God in prayer and just say, hey, if there's anything that I'm missing, show it to me.
Or you may have 15 excuses why you don't think you can balance it, because money issues or the pressures of your job. So just even going to God with that and saying, show me some things that I could do differently.
Give me some wisdom here. I need it. So go into prayer. Then you got create limits and boundaries. And then the last thing is have a Sabbath. So the Bible talks about this a lot. God gave us that model in Genesis to where, you work the 6 days and you take the one day off to appreciate everything that you've already done, the fruits of your labor. And how important is that in our family? And this is one thing that we didn't get initially for many, many years. We still struggle with this, to be able to shut everything down for one day, whatever you want to call your Sabbath, your day off, basically, of not working, not doing stuff, but just being there, being present for your family and enjoying each other.
And if this is a new concept for you, I'm going to tell you, it is hard.
It's really hard.
It's you want to, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. So really trying to figure out how can you get those things done before that Sabbath so that you can shut off.
Yeah, that does. And even on the Sabbath, I know a lot of times we'll fall into a routine of, we'll just sit on the couch and watch TV all day, or we'll be on our phone all day. And that kind of takes away from the concept as well. Maybe that can be a part of it, but that shouldn't be the whole thing, right? The thing is, you're wanting to spend time with your family and just relax, just have fun together. And that's kind of the main concept of that, shutting everything else off. And that is the challenge, because we're used to go. And I think the more we've done that and we haven't had a Sabbath, the harder it is to start initially. So being able to do that, though, is powerful. We read this one book. We've actually heard it many, many times, and we believe it to be true for sure. But in our culture today, as families, we always live for that vacation time, that big vacation. When we're going off to, Disneyland or whatever that big thing might be for you, we try to do one a year is kind of our cultural norm per se. And we think that those days, those long weekend, the 4 or 5 days, however long it is, maybe a week, that's when we pour into our family, that's when we create our family bonding time, because we go out and have fun together. And we lose the aspect of, why aren't we doing that all the time? Why do we feel like we have to wait until one vacation to try to mend all of the past 300 and some odd days that we didn't put into our families? How can we expect to really make that healing point, that connection point, right? It is a false belief in a sense, to where, God gave us that model, going back to the original model. We should be doing that weekly. We should be doing that every week, one day out of the week, shutting off, having fun with our family. I even knew one couple, they turned their phones off I mean, that's kind of how serious they took it. But it was all about being there for their family, being present. And it's a challenge, and we still battle that. We still have to keep coming back to that and saying, okay, we haven't made that Sabbath. We haven't done that. And
yeah, and coming together as a family, you may not even know what to do on the Sabbath besides watch TV. You know, what to do in your break time, and being able to brainstorm some ideas together. Like, hey guys, you know, what do y'all like doing? Or even like, what are some things that just bring joy to your heart and that you're passionate about or interested in? And so I know, like with Randall, he loves music. And so taking time, like on his time off or in the evening when he's taking his break time, of pouring into some of those interests. And we heard something the other day, and it was just, it hit differently. And that is like finding something that refuels you that's opposite, like different from what you do during your regular day. Like me, since social media is something that I'm doing like all the time, like for me to get on social media in the evening as a rest is not what I need. Like I need something that's unplugged from that. And so like Randall's on the computer all day, so being able to pour into like playing an instrument or something is an opposite of what you're doing all day.
Yeah, and I found it, I love reading books too, but I found myself not really reading a lot. And I'll read throughout the work, I'll read work related things, but just reading for joy, I would find myself not want to do it. And really, once we heard that, it's like, well, that's why, because I read all day. I'm on the computer writing, I'm on the computer reading, I'm doing all that. The last thing I want to do in my off time is read more. I want to do something visual or something, that's not, that takes me the complete opposite. And so maybe your work, maybe it's more desk job. So maybe your activity needs to be something more physical. Maybe you're going out and playing tennis or doing some activity that's outside instead of being inside, or something that if you're on the computer all day, you're doing something off the computer in your off time. And finding those things that you can do as a family, those are big and awesome things to be able to do. But it refuels you, and it helps you to wind down. It helps your health. It helps your family make those stronger connections, which is blended families we need a lot of that, especially within the first few years. And we need those bonding
when
moments.
You were talking about vacation as well, like it puts so much pressure on that 1 week out of the year to be a success when you're not doing it like all throughout the year. And so if you're waiting for that one time in the year to bond with your stepchildren and with your family, and then that vacation doesn't go quite so well, and then now you have to wait a whole nother year, like that's where it gets a little mixed up. But if we are able to plug these things in throughout the week, and it may be that you miss a week and you're not perfect at it, you're practicing at it, but you're going to start doing it. You're going to start enjoying your time with them more than had you not been intentional about it.
Yeah, so good stuff. So let this week maybe be that refocusing and going to God and just saying, am I in check? And if you're not, use these three things to start trying to create that work-life balance again in your life. That way your family's blessed by it. That way your health is blessed by it. So set some limits. Make sure you're taking that Sabbath off. That's just a reminder to you as much as it is to us. Like I said, every season we keep coming back to this, and we keep being reminded of it. And there will be things in your life that throw you off of it. And you got to come back and say, okay, let's rebound. Let's take a few things off here, add a few things here, and things like that. So the biggest takeaway of any of it is, set those limits, take a Sabbath, start small. Just start small. You don't have to try to tackle it all at once, but just pick one little thing and make that good, then add another and keep working that way. So good stuff. Great topic. Man, good stuff.
Amen.
Awesome. Well, listen, we love you guys, and we will see you on the next episode. Y'all be blessed. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for joining us today for another episode of Enjoying Your Blended Family. All the links we've talked about today, they're in the show notes below. If you've enjoyed listening, be sure to subscribe below. It's free, and it lets you know when we have another episode for you to listen to.
And if you want to help us out, leave us a rating and review so that we can keep reaching more people. Until next time, remember to enjoy the moment.